Greetings! This is a 3D Studio Max modeling session with Chris Pixel1, and today's topic is street electricity box. So, let's begin. Now I'm gonna save my existing new scene so that I can refer back to it at any time and save on top of it. I'm gonna navigate to my destination, give it some name, electric box. Yeah, this is gonna be a small electric box like the ones you see on the streets, Um, yeah, and now I'm actually gonna open a file that I have already modeled so I can have a reference in sizes and stuff. Okay, let me find it. Yeah, there are some of these. I thought I have more of those scenes saved, but yeah, that's the only one. Select all of these, and here's the model. This will serve as a reference here. Now, important thing to note, you need to remove this selection bracket from the viewport settings. And now we have a reference, and we're probably ready to go start modeling our box. And I'm gonna show it here how it should look like. So, starting from scratch, a box. Yeah. Now I should give it the right sizes because it's really important how it all works together. You need to have the right sizes because in the long run you want a proper shape. I'm working in meters, and if you guys want to show you something, or maybe just saying, I can make a video about how you should set up your properties in 3D Studio Max so you work in metrics. So I got the shape now. Now I'm gonna get rid of that box behind and center this new object. Center it to the center of the world space. I do it by right clicking on the move icon there and set it all to 0. Now I'm gonna open my sample image so I can see what I'm working on. Navigating there. Here it is. I got several images, but I'm going to use only one here. You can actually rescale your window so it's small enough so you can see your scene behind. And this is it. We got the door, small window and a lock. So let's begin. Actually, close this window. You don't need it anymore. Minimize it. Now, I'm gonna convert this to editable poly because I got my tools set up there. Get those two vertices and try to get the overall shape of your model. Just as a beginning, try to get the overall shape because this is what's really important about it in the beginning. You see this like a rooftop shape of our box. It's something simple, but it actually, these little details make it all look nice. Now the overall shape, you should I usually scale, extend my form, but I'm using a wrong I'm doing it the wrong way here. So you actually have to delete the top face so you can extrude these edges. So in order to extrude, you see it's not possible to extrude now. In order to extrude, you need to delete that top face, select the edges you want to extrude, and then extrude because you want only one face connecting to your edge in order to extrude. Sorry, a phone call here. So once you have deleted the face and you can safely start extruding your edges, I do it by shift clicking and dragging the direction I want to extrude towards. The same applies to the move tool. You shift click and drag, shift click and drag again. You see the same procedure every time. Now don't worry about those sides not getting the same thickness. We shall fix this in moments. So what I'm doing here, and trying to select those two edges. Now this is a nice trick. You click those you want to scale towards each other, and you use the scale tool basically in the x-axis. But now I don't have enough accuracy because I set my unit scale in such a way that I can do it. This is my mistake. So I'm gonna do it with the right clicking of this button up below, up there for scaling, and I'm gonna apply some percentage. So 99.5%, and this works for me, but I need a little more less thickness. So I'm gonna apply again. Actually it's okay. And shift and dragging again, so I have my walls ready now. Now you want here to click the border tool and click on cap. This will make a face for you. Now you can see that vertices are piercing through this up face. So you need to break the vertices down a bit so they don't pierce up through. So I do it by simply selecting those faces in left side view. I do it by clicking L on the keyboard. And by the way, you can just click F3 just to bring those lines only and not shading. No, I click F3 again and I am back to shaded mode, not only wireframe. Now everything seems to be alright. I'm changing to shaded view because this realistic in 2012 doesn't do the job for me. It's casting shadows and I don't need shadows right now. It's in editing states, so a quick render to test if it's all okay. Not that it applies to real time, but anyway. So going on. Now we're gonna create the little door there. This is done by in setting. Now let's see how it's done. You see their walls are, there's a black border. So we're going to create that black border. Now some might say it should be done through normal maps, but I don't really agree with this because geometry has its advantage. It's sexier than normal maps. Okay, just in setting and a bit more redundant, mesh density, but it's rewarding in the end, I believe. So setting to face, it's useful to use those constraints below when you to the right, that I clicked just a second ago. When you want to move some vertex or whatever on an edge, or on the face, you don't want to get out of the boundaries. It's really important because it might get some shading artifacts out of this. So in setting several times, just so I can have density to work with, I need edges in order to make the door look nice. Okay, I'm having a little bit of a problem here because of the unit scale settings, but I'll fix it. So you need 3 layers of 3 insets basically, so you can use that inner ring in between to push inwards. You need a gap there actually, and click it. You need to click it all, then use the move tool and push it just backwards. Zoom in, and trying to adjust it the way it should be, but before you need to set the constraints to none, because in order for it to allow you to push it backwards. Having problems with my shortcuts here because they don't seem to work while recording. I have shortcuts set for almost all the buttons I use in Macs because it's slower when modeling while clicking. So pushing backwards, trying to see whether it's shading well or not, adjusting. Okay, now a little bit more, as if, yeah. So let's start chamfering some edges so we can get smooth results here. Now you see the sides and the top edges are actually chamfered. They smooth fairly nice, and our model does not shade this way. So let's make it shade the right way. You see these sharp 90-degree edges, they should not be like this. Some may achieve this through normal map, but normal maps don't just you can't make a smooth edge with normal map. The edge is still on edge, and that's a problem. So let's see our concept here to see where we're going actually. Okay. Now. So press F4 to get the edges show up, and now select this inner edge so we can make it smooth, look smooth. Now we're gonna chamfer this. For some reasons, the dialogues don't show up, and you might think that I'm sliding some invisible, sliders or stuff, but it's actually not visible while recording. I don't know why, but it should be fairly straightforward when you try to do it, so it's not something really important. So now you see these things won't look smooth, won't take effect right ahead. You just actually have to smooth them. You want to smooth the mesh again. I'll show you in a bit. Now let's just smooth the other edges you want to have smooth. Now the top here, I don't want to get smooth because it's it should be this way, but the top, I want the top smooth really. So let's first chamfer this down here, and you might not notice the difference, but just in a second you shall see what I'm talking about. Now the top here, selecting, and you really want to be careful about how you select, because you might get some edges that you don't want chamfered, and this might lead into some problems later on, but for now it's okay. Okay, now select the whole element and go down and click auto smooth on 45 degrees or whatever. It really depends on the game engine you're designing this for, but for now we're just considered to work on with Ray Studio Max. So you see, now the edges are actually shading much better than before, and This really drives to a better mesh. Now, it's really important the material you have on your mesh because the glossiness and specular highlights really affect the way it looks. And I really recommend that you have a good material setup, something like that. The gray material always looks best. Try to adjust. It's for the sake of modeling, so you can see how it affects your geometry. So every time you do a chamfer or whatever, make sure you out smooth your object so it updates the shading of it. Now you see it looks just like on the picture. It looks great now. Okay, now let's try to make this rubber part of our mesh. But before that, let's just chamfer some more edges so our model looks great again. Again, just picking the edges you want to set chamfered, and this is really important because your mesh is going to look way better when smoothed with the right edges. And don't worry about those triangles. We'll set them correct. We'll fix the mesh afterwards. Now the only thing you care about is doing what looks great. And yeah, pretty much that's it. Now don't forget to select all your faces or the element and set auto smooth. This way you update your geometry and you see how it looks as a result. Now looking around to see what needs to be smoothed and what does not. Always take the time to, make some renders or whatever, just to see what's wrong and what's right in your mesh. Doing things slow and carefully is in your advantage. Now let's make the rubber part. Now just see what primitive looks just like the thing you want to do, and then create a primitive and start from scratch or whatever you call it. Be sure to remove all segments before you collapse it, because you don't want redundant mesh density. Okay, so you can't really work this way, so you can just push forward your object so you can see it and turn on the shading right like this. Now if everything seems okay with the size, you can just go and collapse it to editable poly, get into edge mode, select the edges you want to connect. This way you can make a round shape. Now I have to modify my connect settings. Again, I'm modifying this invisible menu here that you are gonna find by clicking that square windows by the tool. Now select the vertices and then scale them down so you get a round shape. It's all about scaling in this shape. So try to find your best shape, and that's it. Now you see, with a few vertices you can achieve a lot, so make sure to take all you can from your vertices. Now you see it looks very smooth, and for example in a third-person game that would look just perfect. Nobody would take that close look to it, so you need no more density there. Now here we're gonna be playing around and bossing the edges and vertices so we get a smooth shape with a minimum of segments or density. So here I'm extruding my edges. Remember, clicking and dragging. It's all self-explaining here. So take the mesh you just created and try to shape a smooth surface. And remember, always when you want to preview what you've done so far, click the auto smooth button. Now bringing this loop backwards. Now there are actually shortcuts that if you guys want I can show you how to adjust, because it's much easier to work with that. Being a clicker does not help, neither in games nor in design. Okay, so make sure you look at all directions, because you see I've made a mistake there that I'm gonna fix just in seconds. Now I'm using this feature with the snap, which is up here in the snap menu. I snapped vertices, and if you want me to show you how it works, I can record some video explaining this, how it exactly works. So it's fairly useful when it comes to positioning and accurate movements of vertices and so on. So now here I have this mistake down here. I selected um, one less segment here. Trying again. So I see I've done one more mistake. So really be careful. It consumes time, and you might get nervous about it sometimes. But it's just the way it's done. So bring it down, up, bossing around the segments and edges and vertices makes it all work as a magic. So using the snap tool again, pressing S shortcut, moving the y-axis to the position of a vertex. This is how it works. So now you see it's so sharp here, so we need to make it like 45 or less degrees so it can smooth appropriately. And going down, chamfer, editing the chamfer here with the invisible menu. You know those square boxes by the tools or the settings you want to see. Just there's a simple distance there, so there's nothing you're missing right now. Yeah, it's all about positioning. Now there are some shadings that are going incorrect right now, but we'll try and fix them in a moment. So basically you want it all quads. You don't want triangles or engomes that have more than 4 sides, because they make the mesh look bad. They make a bad shading. You don't want them. So click the turn button and make sure you have F4 clicked to see your wireframes, and change the triangulation so it's all smoothing the right way. You see what I'm doing here. So you can basically change the triangulation of everything, but you should only do it for the things you need, because you can make some glitches in your mesh. Just so you know it, whenever something is smoothing bad, first try to edit the triangulation. And now we have smoothed it, and the results are not the one we expect. So we're simply going to edit the edges, move them around and see if that helps. And if it does not help, we are just going to add some more mesh density. So here I'm trying to find out where it's actually the problem coming from. So it's self-explaining here. You just gotta try and see where your angle is too sharp. Once you find it, you shall see that it's gonna be fixed for you. But it's actually a good angle there, so the problem is not there, as I can see. And trying to add some more density here because it's too sharp here. It's always good to play some music in this part because it's rather, boring. But the final result is just worth it, because your mesh is looking like a real world object. Again, auto smooth to see what we've done and not the right thing again. So what should we try? We got a lot of density here, so maybe we should bring those all down to see if it works the correct way this time. And remember, using the constraints is a good way to move your edges and loops and whatever around. So be sure you're using them because it's easier for you. Now constraint set to edge, and we see that it's not moving the right way because we have some strange polygon angle there. But we will simply, move them manually. That's not a problem. The thing is, you want to spread your density the right way so everything smooths correctly. So here I'm trying to, scale it, but it doesn't help apparently. So I should simply do it manually. Select the verts and make sure I'm moving it in the right constraints. Now I'm gonna change the constraints here to face, so I make sure I'm moving on the face surface and not just going out of the face, making a hole there. That should make it. Again, selecting an edge, trying to position it the right way, a little bit back or forward maybe, just to have an even wave, smooth curve there. Now let's see what we've done. And I think that we made it actually. Now this inner part, I think it should not be chamfered because we have a glass there basically, and it should not look smooth. So it's a matter of where you want to place some additional geometry and where not. And I think we have it all done. Okay, now you want to make sure that when using the snap tool you have the constraints set to none, because you might get some strange movement in the object you're trying to place. So anyway, it's not necessary to be that accurate right now. Changing the color to gray so we can see how it fits in the picture, and of course trying to position it. Now positioning the rubber parts, you can place as many as you want of them, but 2 are simply enough, I think. Saving the scene. Now looking at our concept, we see that we have a lock, and let's try and make something different than the concept. Let's make something that is ours. Closing. Now you want to click L for left to switch the view to a side view, and you want to create a plane. This way we will be able to make a lock that is hanging on 2 metal parts, which we don't have in our concept. So let's go ahead and start it. Just click and drag, make sure you have no segments, and then you need to collapse the mesh to a poly. So now drag it forward so you can see it better. Adjust it as you wish, and go and extruding just like we did before. Actually, we can do something else that is gonna turn out much better and much easier, rather than cutting ourselves a hole. Now let me show you a nice trick. So we will start by making a cylinder that we will later on evolve into a uh, metal piece. So let me show you this trick real quick. Now click and drag to make a cylinder. Make sure you have the size set to something reasonable like 10 or 8, because it's just a hole. You don't need a whole bunch of mesh density there. And also the height segments to 1, set it just 0. Now you can turn this to a poly, then just simply take the faces you don't need, so you're left with only a cap segment. Just delete it, rotate the camera so you can see it. Now drag it forward so you can place it just whatever it's necessary to be for the sake of ease. Now here's the funny part. Now you basically take the edges and then shift click and drag. Now this way you have all quads, no triangles and stuff. You don't play around with things that you should not waste your time with, and simply scale down the vertices. You see, this makes them flat, and this is a nice trick when you want to cut holes inside something. Now let's just go ahead and just scale towards your vertices. You can see it for yourself, just check how it works. Take the rest and scale down again. Now take this middle part and delete it. So you're only left with polygons with 4-sided quads. And now what you can do is just begin extruding wherever you want your plate to go, your metal part. Now from now on you just have to position and scale the size of this part, because you have to make it look big enough and not small enough, because you can have these small parts when you have much bigger besides. It's gonna be irrelevant to each other. Okay, just scale it. You can always edit it. Okay, just adjusting. It's not really important right now, but it shall do the trick. Now, the best part, how do you convert a plane to a massive object? Now, there's a modifier called shell, which you should use for a lot of things. Makes just the workflow easier. Select your object, go to modifier panel, and click shell. Now here you got some options, but basically you want to change the inner or outer amount, depends on where you want to extrude it from and to. You have some more options like segments in between, but you don't really want to change them. You can see the settings for yourself. They're not important right now. So you can go and collapse this mesh right now. There's nothing else you can do about it. And just auto smooth it so you can see how it looks. It looks great, so we shall leave it at this stage. You can always mirror your parts, so you can place as many of them as you want, but this is not the case. So having more elements and in your scene, basically in your object, makes it look real and just makes it look great. But having just a box with no chamfers, no smoothing, and nothing makes it look so dull. So you basically want to make sure it looks rich of elements and stuff. This is what makes things look great. Now here I start making a lock, the actual lock. So we're going to use the same technique as before. We're gonna divide the mesh by connecting it, and just pinching and adjusting everything. Again, you should click on this side window where the connect button is, so you can get the options to connect, to adjust everything. Again, I'm scaling to get a round shape, just as you should do, scaling in and out. And it's fairly easy to do it. You can, from now on, you can just extrude. You can just extrude the faces, extrude the edges. No matter what you do, the result is gonna be the same. So I'm going to do it with extruding the edges. Again, clicking W to get the W hotkeys to get the move to the move gizmo, then shift click the axis you want and drag so you can extrude. Now I'm going to simply click cap and then use the cut tool so I don't manually do all the polygons myself. So again, the cut tool is used fairly straightforward. You just want to click on a vertex when you so here now you cannot click on a vertex when your mesh is actually flipped, your normals are flipped. In order to flip them back, you just need to use a flip button. Now this is a downside when you start extruding and stuff. You want to check your option in the panel. I'm going to show you maybe later on. You just want to set back face curl on, so you can see what directions your faces are actually facing to, because you can't use tools like cut and target wheel when your vertices are pointing the opposite direction, So again, make sure back face curl is on. I actually showed it how it works. You just have to watch closely to the video. And now it's optional here to chamfer the edges, but I will do it because I want things smooth. And make sure you have clicked the right edges so no errors occur, no mistakes. Again, make sure you click auto smooth so you can see this stuff. Again, a good practice, just apply your material so you can see how everything's shading. It's alright for now. You can always set up a scene with multiple lights, multiple omni whites, for example, and just apply a real-time shader to your object. I can show you some real-time shaders if you're not into this, if you wish to, guys. So you can simply write down a PM, a message, no matter a Facebook or a email or something, and I'll make a short tutorial about how to use those shaders, adjusting the settings in 3D Studio Max and stuff that you wish to. So here I am actually connecting the side edges of this cylinder, so I get some mesh to bend. I'm gonna use the bend modifier here, and then I'm gonna mirror. So mirror, so I can connect, connect those two parts. But let's just see what I'm doing here. Click the faces you want to bend, click bend modifier, make sure the center is at the bottom of where you want to be bending at. So again, pressing S for the snap toggle, snapping to a vertex, changing the angle to 90 degrees, and then the direction to 180, so I can flip it. Now from here you can just collapse and start positioning. So delete those faces you don't need, because you don't want n-gons. And you can now adjust the length, get out of sub mode, and position the whole object itself. Again, here I'm using this snap toggle, but you see when your gizmo, when your pivot actually is positioned in the wrong position, you can't use it fairly efficiently. So you want to position your pivot point in the right place at the center of the object, but we shall show this in another tutorial. So for now you just want to mirror and wilt these vertices here, so there are no gaps. You want no gaps. Again, I'm using this slider that's invisible here. I don't know why it's invisible. Make sure you have no more than the needed vertices selected and wielded. And if things don't work as expected, you can always rework and mirror again the geometry. So feel free. You can always make some saves so you can revert back to them, and do save a lot. That will spare you hassle, your pain. So you can see that here I need the upper part wider, but I can't just move the vertices, because if I move them there will be some stretching going on, and I don't want stretching. So I will undo some steps back, or simply delete one part of the geometry, and I'm going to extrude the parts that I need. But first I'm going to position the geometry. So here I select mirror. Make sure you get the right axes. You see, the pivot point is very important, because wherever your pivot point is, there your center of mirror will be. So now you just want to position it to the right place where it looks great, and then collapse. After that we're going to use the bridge tool so we can connect these two parts. But first of all we must attach one object to the other. If it's not attached already, it's actually attached, so we're going to bridge. And again, whenever everything looks with bad shading and stuff, when you create more polygons, go back, select your element and click auto smooth so you can see the results. Now it looks all good. Time to maybe apply the color, the right color for this, so everything fits in. Okay, making some contrast with lighter colors. Now you can select those two objects and move them and scale them, apparently, so it all fits with the same size and and position. Everything has to be relevant. And here we go. We have our lock, and now we can add another lock for the key here. You can see not much geometry, and our models look great for now. Now I should create a lock now. I'm going to do it just by creating a cylinder again. This time I'm gonna use a different method, maybe just a simple scaled cone or something. Again, draw your geometry up so you can see it. Make sure all the segments are set to the right value, so you don't have thousands of redundant polygons and vertices and so on. And then you're free to collapse to a poly. Always make sure it's all relevant to each other, all it's in the right size, because you can have, you know, one lock times larger, 100 times larger than the other lock. It's not going to look relevant and thus unreal. Also make sure to delete the faces you don't use, and also make everything in quotes, because it all makes the good shading. Now here I'm gonna show you a trick on how to make accurate adjustments, for example to the chamfer menu, because here this element is too small, and thus the I can't set it to a minimum of chamfer, and that's why what I'm going to do, I'm gonna scale it up. You see, this is the minimum, but I'm not satisfied with it, so I'm gonna scale that whole object up, and I'm going to reset with X form. This way I will be able to make really subtle changes to it, and afterwards I will scale it back down so I get the adjustments I want. So let's just see what we do now. Adjusting the main proportions. It's something as simple as a log, but it's important. Again, selecting everything. You see, I can't chamfer because my object is too small, and my precision settings are not set high, and that's why I will scale it up in something like a minute. Even if we auto smooth it, it's not going to look great, because for a nice edge you need your edges to be really close to have a nice crisp over there. We could do it better, in fact. We must make it look like there's an edge there. Again, checking if it looks well, if it looks good. If you're not satisfied, you should simply undo your steps and do what's necessary. Again, so here I'm scaling this up. I'm trying this chamfer, but it doesn't work, because once you create your object small, your precision settings will stay the same. So what you need to do is scale it up, go to the utilities menu and reset X form, and then you need to collapse it. Now as you have collapsed the new shape that is greater than the previous, now everything's reset and the precision level is greater. Now you just need to go back to chamfer again, and here you see that you can actually make much smaller creases and in the edges. You can chamfer in really close. So now as we auto smooth it, we see that it's actually the thing that we wanted to do. This is the effect we wanted to have. Now, as this is already set and ready to go, we can scale it back down, and in the end of our scene, we're going to reset X-form of everything we have in the scene, so there are no glitches, because sometimes there are faces facing the wrong direction, and this might be very bad when it comes to importing into an engine and animation and stuff. You just want, whatever you do, just reset your X form at the end of the modeling session. So here I'm making those final touches to the scene. Now you know that usually there are pipes going down from such electric boxes, and we're going to make it look just better with lots of elements, because that's what makes our scene great. And again, make sure you got the right side segments and height segments again, and also make sure everything is relevant to each other. Don't make one object too big or too small, because when it comes to composition later on, it's not going to fit well at all, and you will have to recreate your scenes. Adjusting the height, converting to poly, deleting the faces we don't use again, clicking in deleting, and I'm shift clicking on my object and dragging, so I can have a second pipe here, and then you can simply adjust the sides, so all the sides look balanced of detail or something like that, just the way you feel it. And I think it looks okay. We could simply use a simple box for this, but it's not the case. We could call it a day, but it's not how it works. So select all your objects, select X form, and reset. Select it. This way, you will get rid of all irregularities on your object, your meshes, I mean. Now click on every one of your objects and collapse them, so everything is nice and reset. So several ways to check if something's wrong with your mesh is first resetting the X form. This way you will see what is wrong, and do not and remember, always turn back face cull on when you're checking for irregularities at the end of the modeling session, so you can see which faces are flipped and what's wrong with your scene. And after you have collapsed everything, what you need to do, see, I'm checking the back face cull now, and I'm gonna scan my geometry for faces that are with flipped orientation. It's really important that you do this stuff, because at later points you don't want to cry. And now, after you have everything set in the right way, what you need to do is center your pivot points, so everything is moving the right way. Everything said to be exported to a engine or something like that. So click effect pivot only, right click on the button of move, and then right click on this arrow, so everything is set to 0 or the origin of the world. Now you see that you actually have to move the objects up, because the base is where the pipes begin, and you have to again place the pivot points down. So this is basically where your handle is of all your objects. I'm also clicking on rotation and setting everything to 0, which I don't think is necessary. And I think this is it about making the composition of the scene. Now, as we're already ready with our scene and everything set up and all ready to go, the final step we need to take is just make sure we have no artifacts in our mesh, and we clear the mesh of triangles and n-gons. For this purpose, first you need to make sure you reduce the the count of triangles. Just make sure you have a strategy to reduce those triangles and n-gons. Now what I'm using is I can't just explain it, but you will see. Now I'm connecting everything to triangles, to greater triangles, and then when I connect one more edge, and in those triangles turn into polygons. Now just watch and see what I'm doing. I'm doing some repetitive steps right now, and that might be boring, but this is crucial for your modeling, and you should also do it. Now you see I'm connecting, so I'm isolating the parts by creating them polygon quads. So I'm left with a minimum number of triangles, and then later on I will decide on how to get rid of those triangles. So make sure you go absolutely everywhere and check your mesh, because it will change the shading and thus the way your mesh looks when it comes to importing and final results after texturing and stuff, because you don't want artifacts in the shading. That's the last thing you want to have. Again, now my shortcuts here are not working because I'm recording this video, but what you want to do is select the inner triangles and click remove button that I'm clicking right here. You can see it. Click everything and then click remove. So you're left with bigger triangles, which we are going to get rid of later on. And try to not panic when you have all these triangles, because at the beginning it's really hard to get rid of them, but people get used to it. You see how shading is actually changing when you delete those triangles here. You can observe it here. Remove and change, and we are changing the shading, and this way we're creating a nice shading, something really smooth and nice to have in game. Now I don't know if this is really what it should be like when creating in-game content, but I think that there is no other possibility, since it's all about geometry and having the right geometry and not triangles and n-gons. So if you are actually trying to import something into Unity or Unreal Engine, you can try this stuff. I bet it's going to work, because I've imported unclean meshes, and it's not actually important what type of geometry you're importing into the final production engine, in the engine itself. So you can see here how I am cutting the edges, and this way we're having, in practice, we're having quads. They don't look like quads, but the important part here is that we actually have four-sided polygons. It's that is important. If you observe, the triangle is no longer a triangle when it has 4 vertices, and this is what I'm cheating with. Now we can go and do the next stuff, which is this bottom part here. Now you want to make sure everything is at the same level. You don't want to squeeze accidentally your mesh just at the end. So make sure you're using the snap tool. And again, in order to target wield, you need to get rid of some faces sometimes. Just so if you're wondering, this is the right thing to do. If you can't extrude or target wield or something, just try to remove some face that is making things wrong. And now you can see I'm using the snap toggle tool, and I'm using it with vertex. So basically you choose the vertex you want to move and the axis you want to move it, then drag to an existing vertex and it takes the axis position of that vertex. It's fairly easy to use. Now here we will have to make some redundant mesh density just for the sake of clarity, just to make things clear. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices. And again, the same procedure for every angle. Just be patient, play some music, and everything is going to be okay. Again, target wield. Now here we got no quads, but we'll make them just in a minute or so. Just be patient. Now a quick way to change between sub-categories of your mesh. If you click 1, you go to vertices. If you click 2 on the keyboard, then you change to edges. If you click 3, you go to borders, and so on and so forth. And so actually when you click 5, this is selecting your element. If you click 6, you're going out of sub mode, which is very handy. And if you learn these shortcuts, it will fasten your workflow. You will work just much quicker than you used to work before, and it's gonna be easy for you. So I believe this was the last patch here on our mesh, and now let's find a way how to make it all quads. Again, you must have 4 sides or 4 vertices for a quad. So just grab the cut tool and try to think of a combination that will suit all the surrounding vertices and quads, so everything is quadified. So just go ahead and click and cut till you reach a level where everything is just in quads. I'll show you how to check if everything's in quads just in a moment. Now let's change the sides. We have to complete it in the other side also. And we're almost done. Now I can see that the edge is kind of too flat up there, so I'm gonna align it to the bottom one, and this is a perfect occasion to use the snap tool. You can see how it is bent and the other one is not. So select the outer one, the outer vertex, click S and W to get in snap mode and move tool, and then adjust the camera so you can see them both, and drag and drop where is the vertex you want to align to. And I think we are done. And again, as always, just go down and out to smooth what you've done. And because we've changed some geometry around, we need to reset Xform just to stay clean. And collapse the stack so we have only a mesh there. And now we have to check if we have missed something. But before that, let's see if we have some glitches on the geometry. Now here is how to check if you have polygons that have less than or more than 4 sides. Go to selection by numeric in the graphic modeling tool, click on polygon sub-object mode, and then change the signs and click the little arrow. Now you see that I have a polygon that has more than 4 sides and it was highlighted. Now you can see that while I was cutting here, I have two vertices that share the same place. You basically have to click wheel here there, and the same applies to the other side that was highlighted, so you can just check by clicking the little arrow again. And it's vital that you do this because it leads to bad shading otherwise. Also make sure not to select other vertices, because that might lead to other glitches as well. Just by example clicking F3 to see whether you have selected something else or not, and you're ready to go. Your mesh is now clean, and you can just auto smooth it and reset the Xform, and that's it, you're done. And this is the procedure, guys. You could always spend additional 40 or 30 minutes polishing things. This is how it's done, this is how I do it, and that's it for this session. If you guys enjoyed watching this session and want to propose a topic, just feel free to message me on my email or on my channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe, favorite, comment, and like the video, and see you in the next session.